90% of startups fail. You already know this. But here's what nobody tells you. Most founders know their startup is failing months before it actually dies. They see the signs. The users aren't engaged, the revenue isn't growing, the team is quietly interviewing elsewhere. And they do nothing. Not because they're lazy, not because they're stupid, but because of something psychologists discovered that explains almost every startup failure you've ever heard of. And if you're building something right now, you need to understand this before it's too late. If this is hitting different, subscribe. I break down the psychology that separates founders who make it from those who don't. New videos every week. Here's the pattern that kills startups. A founder has an idea, they quit their job, they raise some money, they build a product. And for the first year, it's all momentum. Hiring people, launching features, getting press. But then the growth slows, the metrics plateau, the product market fit they thought they had starts to feel off. And this is where the psychology kicks in. Because at this point, the rational move is obvious. Pivot, change the product, try a different market, admit the original idea isn't working. But founders don't do that. Instead, they double down. They tell themselves, we just need more time. They blame the market timing, and they say, users don't understand it yet. And 6 months later, they're out of money. So what's happening in the founder's brain? 3 psychological mechanisms are fighting against them. First, there's the escalation of commitment. Psychologist Staw studied this in the 1970s. He found that the more you invest in something, time, money, reputation, the harder it becomes to walk away, even when all the data says you should. Your brain doesn't see quitting as cutting your losses. It sees quitting as admitting everything you sacrificed was for nothing. Second, there's identity fusion. You're not just building a startup, you are the startup. When someone asks what you do, you don't say, I'm testing a hypothesis in the market. You say, I'm building company name. The idea has fused with your identity, so killing the idea feels like killing yourself. And third, there's something called the IKEA Effect. Research by Ariely showed that we overvalue things we've built ourselves. You look at your product and see all the hours you put in, all the problems you solved, all the code you wrote. But users, they just see another app they don't need. You think your product is worth 10 times what it actually is because you made it. This is the kind of psychology most founders learn the hard way, after they've already failed. Subscribe so you learn it before you waste 3 years on the wrong idea. Here's the irony. The same psychology that makes you a founder in the first place, the irrational confidence, the commitment, the refusal to quit, is exactly what destroys you later. You need overconfidence to start a company. Nobody rational would look at the statistics and think, yeah, I'm going to be in the 10% that succeeds. You need commitment to push through the early days when nothing is working. You need to believe in your vision when everyone else thinks you're crazy. But those same traits become liabilities the moment you need to change direction. The confidence becomes arrogance. The commitment becomes stubbornness. The vision becomes a blindfold. So what do successful founders do differently? They don't fight these biases. They can't. These biases are hardwired. Instead, they build systems to protect themselves from their own psychology. They set kill metrics before they launch, numbers that, if not hit, force them to pivot. They bring in advisors whose only job is to tell them they're wrong. They separate their identity from their idea. They say, I'm a founder who solves problems, not I'm the CEO of this specific product. They test assumptions quickly and cheaply instead of betting everything on one big launch. Startups don't fail because the idea was bad. Most ideas are bad. They fail because founders can't let go of bad ideas fast enough. The question isn't, is your idea good? The question is, can you kill your idea before it kills you? If you're building something, subscribe. Every week, I break down the psychology that separates the 10% who make it from the 90% who don't, because understanding your brain is the competitive advantage nobody talks about.